Okay, let's see how you did on these to start out. The top one up here is an order of operations problem. I'm going to move this one out of the way so we've got room to work here. Put it down here for now. So in this problem here, what do we have to do first? We have the parentheses. What do we have to do first in there? Multiply. 1/2 plus 3/4. This is just like any other order of operations problems, only we're doing our operations with fractions, which means we may have to actually write them out rather than knowing what the number is. So 1/2 times 3/4 is going to give us what? Well, 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 4 is 8. So I replace the 1/2 times 3/4 with 3/8. So now inside that parentheses, I'm still working. What would happen next? We're going to start adding and subtracting left to right. So 1 1/8 plus 1 3/8, or just plus 3/8, sorry, not even 1 3/8. They already have the same name. So we have 1/8 and 3/8 is 4/8, which is 1/2, and then the 1. So that becomes 1 1/2. And now, of course, there's only one thing left to do inside the parentheses, and that is the subtraction. So we have 1 1/2 minus 1 1/6. I'm going to change the 1/2 to 3/6. 3/6 minus 1/6 is 2/6, which is 1/3. 1 minus 1 is 0. So this all becomes just 1/3. So now I can remove the parentheses. So I have 2 1/4 plus 3 1/2. This is now times here, times the 1/3 plus 2 7/8. I'm going to move this down one more time, get it further out of my way. Bless you. Okay, so no more parentheses. What do we have to do next? Multiply. Very good. So we've got 3 1/2 times 1/3. We have to make this an improper fraction. 3 1/2. 3 times 2 is 6. This one is 7/2 times 1/3 is 7/6. So 1 1/6, that becomes. Now we're just going to add left to right. 2 1/4 plus 1 1/6. We need common denominator, which will be 12. This is 2/12 and 3/12. 3 and 2 makes 5/12. 2 and 1 makes 3. So 3 and 5/12. Plus 2 and 7/8. So we're just going to add those. 3 and 5/12 plus 2 and 7/8. Common denominator now is going to be 24. This is going to be 21, and this will be 10. Adding 10 and 21 make 31 24ths, which is 1 7 24ths. We keep the 7 24ths. Carry the 1. 1 and 3 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Did anybody get 6 and 7 24ths for that? A couple of you? How many are confident that you could get that on your own? It's open for a couple more hands there. You could have distributed the 3 1/2, but if you can combine what's in here, it's easier to combine what's in there. Distributing is only if it's a variable in there, so you can't combine it. Like if I had 5 times 3x minus 2, I can't combine those because they're different names, so now I would distribute. I could still distribute here if I wanted to, but it's just a lot more complex. It's easier to combine the stuff first and then multiply it.
Couldn't you just make everything an improper fraction and do it that way? Which would the same answer.
Yeah, you would get the same answer if you made everything an improper fraction, yes. So let's look at this one. Move it down a little ways here. There we go. Now that one is saying we have to do everything on top first, then do everything on bottom, and then divide. So on top, we have the 2 3/4 plus 1 7/8. Our common denominator is going to be the eighths. So the 1 7/8 will not change. 3/4 will become 6/8. 6 and 7 is 13/8, which is 1 5/8. So I'm going to keep my 5/8, carry the 1. 1 and 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So on top we have 4 5/8. On bottom, we're going to multiply 3 3/5 times 1 2/3. 3 3/5. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 3 is 18/5, making it improper. 1 2/3, 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5/3. We can do some cross canceling here. The 5's cross cancel, give me 1 and 1. 18 and 3 can both be divided by 3 to give me 1 and 6. So 6 times 1 is 6, 1 times 1 is 1. The whole bottom is just 6. So now this is still division. It's 4 5/8 divided by 6. I want to make it 6 over 1, so that's a fraction. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 5 is 37 over 8. I'm going to change this to times the reciprocal, so times 1 over 6. 37 times 1 is 37. 8 times 6 is 48. 37 over 48 is as far as we can go. That's our answer right there. What do you think? Not too bad? Okay. Any questions off the homework from last time that you need me to go over? Okay, well then let's wrap up this unit. Remember, Thursday is our Unit 2 test. So tonight is our last lecture of the unit. And we've hinted at these types of problems a little bit before. But we might have something like 3/4 x equals 9 6/7. Just like if I had 5x equals 45. All that's been done to the variable here has been multiplied by 5. Here, all that's been done to the variable has been multiplied by 3/4. How do I solve this one then? I divide by 3/4. I'm going to divide that out and make it go away. I divide by 3/4 over here. So here we have x equals, this will be 9 6/7 divided by 3/4. Make this improper. 9 times 7 is 63, plus 6 is 69 over 7. Divided by 3/4 is going to be times 4 over 3. Cross cancel, 3 and 69 gives me 1 and 23. 23 times 4 is 92. 7 times 1 is 7. 92 divided by 7. 7 goes into 9 once. 2 left over. Bring down the 2. 7 goes into 21 3 times with 1 left over. So it's 13 and 1/7. What do you think? Not terrible? Okay, well, let's see next up. We might have 5/8 x minus 2 1/4 equals 5 1/2. Again, this is no different than having 3x minus 7 equals 20. just like we would over here, we would add, and then we would divide. Over here, we're going to, what's our first step over here? Add 2 1/4. So that's gone. So we've got 5/8 x. Here we have to add 2 1/4 as well. We're going to need a common denominator, which is going to be 4ths. So 5 1/2 becomes 5 2/4. 2/4 and 1/4 is 3/4. 5 and 2 makes 7. So 7 3/4. Now what do we have to do? Well, x has been multiplied by 5/8, so we have to divide by 5/8. So 7 3/4 divided by 5/8. Make this improper. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 3 is 31/4. Times are reciprocal, so 5/8 becomes 8/5. Cross cancel. 4 and 8. Both divided by 4 gives me 2 and 1. 31 times 2 is 62. 1 times 5 is 5. Which is 12 2/5. Any questions? Now, if you try one in your notes. So it's going to be 2/3 x plus 1 5/8 equals 4 3/4. Try that one in your notes, and we'll check in just a minute. So if you use your calculator, this isn't so bad. What's our first step we have to do? Subtract 1 5/8. We've got 2/3 x over here. Subtracting 1 5/8 over here gives me 3 1/8. Then what? Divide by 2/3. There's this x here. Divided by 2/3 there, so we got 3 1/8. Divided by 2/3. 24 plus 1 is 25/8. Times 3/2. 75/16, which is 4 11/16. How many had 4 11/16? A few of you. What's that? Forgot to flip it. Okay, so you ended up with what, 2 and 1/12 or something like that. Yeah. Yep. So that'd be 3/4 become 6/8. So there you go. Okay. What if we have something like that? Now, some might look at that and say, well, that's just x divided by 7, so we could solve it by multiplying by 7, right? Which does work. You multiply both sides by 7, your x is 35. But there will be some cases where that doesn't work. And what we can look at is x over 7 is equivalent to 1/7 times x. The thing about this is being x over 1, I multiply it out. 1 times x is x. 7 times 1 is 7. It is x over 7. For this problem, it's easy enough just to think of it as divided by 7, and that works just fine. But we can run into problems like this. X over 4 plus x over 7 equals 33. We can't just think of that as being x divided by 4 because there's two x's right now. So we have to be able to combine the two x's before we do anything. So if I think of this, though, as 1/4 x plus 1/7 x equals 33, now we can work with it. That doesn't look real easy to work with, but remember, if we had something like 3x plus 5x equals 40, what would we have done there? You would add 3x and 5x to make 8x, wouldn't you? Well, even though it's ugly fractions, we got to do the same thing here. We're going to add 1/4 x and 1/7 x. So 1/4 and 1/7, to add those, our common denominator, 28, so that'll be 7/28, so 4/28, which gives us 11/28. So 1/4 x plus 1/7 x is 11/28 x equals 33. Now what? What's keeping my variable, my x, from being alone? It's 11/28. It's multiplying it, so to get rid of it, we would divide by 11/28. So it's gone there, leaving me with x. Over here, we have 33, divided by 11/28. So I'm going to make that 33 over 1 to make it a fraction. And then times 28 over 11. Cross canceling, 11 and 33 gives me 1 and 3. 3 times 28 is 84. So x equals 84. Want to see another one like that? Okay. So we're going to have x over 5 plus x over 9, what the heck, equals 28. So again, this is going to be 1/5 x plus 1/9 x equals 28. Now I'm just going to add these. I'm not going to write them out for you, but you can confirm it on your calculator or do it yourself. 1/5 plus 1/9 is 14/45 x equals 28. You have any questions so far? All I did was add 1/5 and 1/9 to get 14/45. Now what do I have to do? Divide by 14/45. Good. That'll give us x here. Divided by 14/45 here. 28 over 1 divided by 14 over 45. Become 28 over 1 times 45 over 14. Cross cancel, 28 and 14 gives me 1 and 2. 2 times 45 is 90. 1 times 1 is 1. So x equals 90. Any questions? Can I try one of those in your notes? X over 3 plus x over 5 equals 8. See what you come up with. So we'll think of that as 1/3 x plus 1/5 x equals 8. 1/3 and 1/5 equals 8/15 x equals 8. We divide by 8/15, should give us x equals 15. Anybody get 15? Okay. Good. What if I have a problem like this? Now remember, when we solve these, we asked ourselves, what's been done to x? Then we ask, what do we have to do to get, to undo it, to take it apart? So here, x has been multiplied by 3. 7's been added to it, because you have to do everything that's on top of that fraction bar first. Then the whole thing is divided by 4. So if I go to solve this, the first thing I have to get rid of is the last piece put on, dividing by 4. So I get rid of it by multiplying by 4. That's gone. So multiply by 4 over here. 7 times 4 is 28. Well, on the left side over here, all I did was get rid of the dividing by 4. So what's left is 3x plus 7. Now this is a relatively simple equation to solve. What are we going to do first? Subtract 7. 3x equals 28 minus 7 is 21. And then divide by 3. X equals 7. So the key is, you see that the last thing that was done is dividing by that number. We start out by multiplying by that number to get rid of it. So we might have 5x plus 1 divided by 8 equals 2. Try that in your notes. See if you can make it work. What's our first step? Multiply by 8. So 5x plus 1, 2 times 8 is 16. And then subtract 1. 5x equals 15, and then 5 by 5. X equals 3. And just like all of our other equations we've solved, you could go back and put that in here. Does 5 times 3 plus 1 over 8, does that equal 2? And it will. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16, divided by 8 does give us 2. So you can always substitute it back in to double check your answer. But what if it's not quite that simple? What if it looks like this? I'm going to have to try this one in your notes. See if you can get it without. So what's our first step? Multiply by 7/8. So that's going to be gone. I'll put it up here, multiplying by 7/8 over there. So over here we've got 2/3 x minus 1/4. Here the 4 and the 8 are going to cross cancel, give me 2 and 1. 1 times 7 is 7. 5 times 2 is 10. 7 tenths. Then what? Add 1/4. 2/3 x here. 7 tenths plus 1/4. Well, this is going to become 14 twentieths, and this is going to become 5 twentieths. So it adds to make 19 twentieths. And then divide by 2/3. So x equals 19 twentieths divided by 2/3, which will be 19 twentieths times 3 over 2, which is 57 over 40. 1 and 17/40. How many of you got that? Good deal. Well, let's just review some kinds of equations you might run into. In your notes, let's see if you can remember how to do that one. So we have to combine what we can on each side of the equation. So on the left side, we're going to look at the parentheses. Can I combine anything inside the parentheses? No. So I'm going to distribute through. 7 times 2x is 14x. 7 times 5, positive 35. You still have the minus 4 there. Before I move over to the other side, I'm going to finish combining here. What else can I combine? Positive 34 and negative 4. So 14x, 35 and negative 4, I should say, is a positive 31. Now we go to the other side. Parentheses, anything I can do in the parentheses? No. How about to the parentheses? It's times 5. 5 times 30x? 30x, thank you. 5 times negative 3? Negative 15 plus 4. So what we can combine there, again, the x stands alone. Negative 15 and positive 4 becomes negative 11. Now I want to get rid of one of the variables. Let's get rid of the smaller one, the 14. So what am I going to do? Subtract 14x. So I have 31 here. 30x minus 14x is 16x minus 11. And then add 11. So 42 equals 16x. And then divide by 16. So over here is x. 42 over 16. It doesn't divide out evenly, but we can just reduce it as a fraction. I can divide both of those by 2, which gives me 21 over 8. 8 goes into 21 twice, with 5/8 left over. So 2 and 5/8 equals x. Anybody get that? Couple? Okay. Oh, let's see here. Let's see what happens if I do something like this. We'll do this one together. Looking at this, though, there's one little spot that will catch people. Can anybody tell me what I have to do to adjust this so that we don't make a mistake? Got to put a 1 in front of that parentheses. It's negative 1 times the parentheses. With it like that, it's a little bit easier to do. So the 2x up here isn't going to change. We have negative 1 times the parentheses. So negative 1 times 5x is negative 5x. And negative 1 times negative 1, which is positive 1. So now we can combine 2x and negative 5 makes 2x and negative 5x is negative 3x plus 1 equals 16. Then what? Subtract 1. So negative 3x equals 15. And finally, divide by negative 3. X equals negative 5. Just like any other problem, if you wanted to, we could go back, put the negative 5 in for x and double check it. I'm not going to do that right now, but it should work. For one of those days we're just blacking out. So let's see how well you remember how to do these like this. We did an example about 15 minutes ago. I want you to try this one in your notes. What's our first step? Multiply by 1/3. Good. So that's going to be gone. We have 1 1/4 x minus 3/8 over here. I have to multiply by 1/3 over here. 12 times 8 is 96 plus 3 is 99/8, right? Times 1/3. 3 and 99 divide out, give me 1 and 33. 33 times 1 is 33. 8 times 1 is 8. That is 4 and 1/8. Now what? We're going to add 3/8. Get rid of the 3/8. We got 1 1/4 x here. 4 3/8 plus, or 4 1/8 plus 3/8. 1/8 plus 3/8 is 4/8, or 1/2. So it's 4.5. Then what? Divide by 1 1/4. So x equals 4.5 divided by 1 1/4. So we're going to make each into improper. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9/2. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 5 is 5/4. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 1 is 5/4, sorry. So it becomes 9/2 times 4 over 5. 2 and 4 cross cancel, give me 2 and 1. 9 times 2 is 18. 1 times 5 is 5. So 3 3/5. Anybody get 3 3/5? Getting a few, getting a little better. Okay, it's just a touch early, but let's go ahead and take our break here. That is pretty much all of our new material for Unit 2. So we are going to, after break, we're going to be going over the test, reviewing for the test. There is a new quiz, just so I don't forget to mention it, that will be due tomorrow, Wednesday, by 11:59 p.m. And there is new homework. It's going to be due for Thursday. And yes, Thursday is our Unit 2 test. So when we come back from break, it's about 4:16. Let's come back at 4:26, and we will review for that test.